Hey, what's going on, family? My name is Landesire Morgan, and as always, I'm accompanied by my beautiful wife.
Hi, I'm Rotunda Morgan.
And you're tuned into another episode of
Living More with the
Morgans.
Morgans.
And you guys, like I said every week, babe, we got a great show for you guys. We're gonna always speak that thing because sometimes we don't even know what we're gonna say.
Right.
We're just gonna go at it and let the Lord take over and just hit us with it. And so you guys are tuned into another good one as always, and we just thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
And if you're not familiar with us, if you're not fam yet, you need to be.
Yes.
And so what you can do, if you're on YouTube, you can hit that subscribe button right down here at the bottom. You can hit that little bell icon for notifications. So every time we post a new video or story or post, whatever, you're going to be the first one to know right here on YouTube. And as always, you can follow us on our social media platforms. Fam, we all over social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, even on Pinterest. I don't know what we're doing on Pinterest, fam, but we on there. And so you can find us on our social media platforms. Be sure to follow us everywhere. We're also all over. This podcast is all over the podcast universe. And so you can find us on Pandora. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio, so you can tune in wherever you are. If you want to listen or if you want to watch, you can always hit us up. And then you can also visit our one and only website. You can find us, you can find us on www.livingmorewiththemorgans.com. I ain't get that wrong right there. Livingmorewiththemorgans.com. You can find us on our website. And you can even hit us up on our website. So if you want to talk to us, you want to chat with us, you can also hit us up on our DMs on social media. And then you can also send us a message right there from our website. And so you guys, we're accessible, we're reachable, babe. And that's what we always want people to know, is that you can hit us up. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear what your comments are, your questions. If you disagree, if you don't agree, whatever it is that's on your heart that we're discussing on our platforms, we want you to tune in, hit them comments up, let us know what you're thinking about the show, because for one, that makes us better, right? That makes the show better and more interactive for people that we know that are tuning in. And so, and babe, I got to say this because we've even had people all the way in Singapore watching us. So shout out to the folks out there in Singapore. We saw, I saw some people in Zimbabwe tuning in to Living More with the Morgans. Around the world, you guys are tuning in or you're listening to us somewhere on those platforms that we mentioned. So shout out to all of our listeners and our new subscribers there on our YouTube channel and our followers on our Facebook channel. So you guys, y'all been rocking with us and we always appreciate it, babe. And so how you feeling today?
Pretty good. Yeah. A little bit of a tough week, but we're still standing.
We're still standing.
By the grace of God. God is still good.
What would your pop say? We kicking but not high?
We kicking but not high.
Yeah, we kicking, y'all. We kicking. And so, like we said, we got a good one today. And we're bringing in, this is the first day of February.
Yes.
And so,
my mom's birthday month.
Your mom's birthday month.
Yeah.
My mom's birthday month.
Your mom's birthday month.
My grandma's
Your
birthday
grandma.
month.
Yeah.
And so February is also the month of love. Ooh, yeah. It's the month of love. You know what to do in a couple of weeks. Get it right, y'all. Get it right.
Get it right.
And so also though, we start Black History Month today for the month of February. And some people sometimes, they have a little inside joke where it's the shortest month out of the year where we celebrate Black history. But you know what? I thank God that we're able to utilize this month, the month of love. So it's not by coincidence that it happens to be the month of love, that we can celebrate the accomplishments and the achievements of Black people here in America and really around the world, but particularly here in America, we have designated a month, the month of February, to really celebrate Black people and Black History Month. And so that's what we want to do today, you guys, is that we want to bring this show. And if you didn't catch last week's show, that is almost like a precursor to this week's show.
Right.
You really want to go back and listen to last week's show. It was a 2-part episode, and we had some thick nuggets in last week's show. So definitely go back in the archives and watch that show. And then you'll really kind of understand where we're going with today's topic and what we're going with today's discussion, because I think it's important and it's always important to really reflect Because if you don't know your history, if you don't understand your history, then you fully won't understand where you're going.
Absolutely.
And I think we do ourselves a disservice when we don't go back and we look at the accomplishments, the struggles that turned into triumph. If we don't go back and look at those in our history, in any history, so if you're Latino or Hispanic, if you're Anglo, if you're white, whatever, if you're Asian, I think you need to go back and look at what the people have done in your ethnicity's history,
right,
so that you have an understanding of what it is that those people went through, so that you're here today.
That's right.
Absolutely. And so what we want to do is really take the time with this episode to really kind of dig into our history. We want to give you we want to put the onus on you, and we want to put the onus on you to really research the people behind us. You can see different faces of people that have contributed to not just Black history, but Black future, right? And Black right now. Mm-hmm. And so what does that mean? And so we want to put the onus on you to really research, because when you learn of those stories and not just go off of hearsay,
right,
and you just don't go off of what other people have said or what the history books have said or what you learned in certain classrooms, but you go and dig and do the research yourself, you'll find some extraordinary stories about these people and about others that you would never even heard of or knew about, and that weren't necessarily recognized in history as much as they probably should have
right
been.
That's right. Even in our own families.
Yes.
Things that
absolutely.
our families endured and went through,
Mhm.
and overcame,
Yeah.
So there's, like you said, I would challenge you all to get in, talk to if your parents are still living or grandparents are still living,
Mhm.
aunts, uncles, family members that have some history and some knowledge on the history of your family. Get to know
That's a
what,
great point.
yes, get to know what has happened and what they've encountered and overcame, so
Mhm.
that you'll know what you come from.
Right.
And to me, and I'm just saying, I
Yeah.
believe this, it strengthens you.
Wow.
It fortifies you.
Facts.
It pulls you up and pulls you out and make you feel like, hey, they can do it. They did it. I can do it.
Right. That's a great point. To look in our own families.
Yes.
Because there's so much history in our families that some of it was written down, some of it was passed down by word of mouth and so forth,
right,
or different stories.
Yes.
That you want to go back. If you can sit at the feet of your elders,
Yeah.
if those people are still here, then by all means, I think you should definitely, again, put the onus upon yourself to go out and reach out to those people and sit at their feet, have those conversations. Even better with the technology that we have today, pull out that camera and start filming them while they're talking.
Yes, so I did my dad.
Awesome. You see,
Yeah.
and that's great. So where you can sit down and record those stories for your kids and for your kids' kids,
Yes.
where you always have something in your family that points back to, hey, this is what grandma endured, this is what grandpa endured, and so forth and so on.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's a great way to kind of really dive into the discussion, because I think sometimes us as Black Americans, really in our history books, in our classroom history books, a lot of our history pointed to our start as slaves.
Correct.
Where we started out here in America as slaves, and we were owned, and we were property, and so forth and so on. But I want to let people really know that that's not the beginning of our history. And so those textbooks in some of our classrooms are not all the way correct. Many of them are not correct. Let me say it that way. We didn't start as slaves. And we are not the descendants of slaves.
That's right.
I want to make sure that that's clear as well. We're not the descendants of slaves. We are the descendants of a people, of a strong people who were enslaved.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, there's a difference between that.
Very much
being slaves and people who were enslaved.
Right.
And so we were, of course, many people may know, and many people who are watching this may not know, or there's younger people that will watch this who really don't know, is that we were a people that were taken, that were stolen. There were treaties between our African ancestors in West Africa in particular, there were treaties and agreements that were made with the Europeans that brought us over to the Americas as enslaved people.
Right.
Okay.
In the Caribbean.
And so what we need to also understand is that we got cousins in them
right.
that are in the Caribbean, that are in Brazil, that are in South America.
Yes.
Because a lot of people may not necessarily know. And again, the stories have always pointed to the transatlantic slave trade brought Africans from Africa to North America. But what they don't tell us is that it wasn't just North America as we know it, but it was, again, South America. It was Brazil. It was Chile. It was the Caribbean islands. It was Mexico.
Right.
Right. It was Central America.
Yes.
And so
absolutely.
the Americas, as we know them, especially here in North America, we were the last stop.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Last stop.
We were the last stop.
Yeah.
And so those countries and those continents got Black people, Black Africans, before the Americas did.
That's right.
And so we have to understand that before we were taken and we were brought over on ships and on boats, there were also, I want to say this as well, and make this very clear, there were Africans already over here in the Americas.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So there are indigenous Black Americans that are indigenous to this continent and to this land.
That's
and so sometimes, and I want to make sure that we hit on that, because we usually hear about there were only the Native Americans, right, or the Indians, which they were ignorantly called by Christopher Columbus, because he was in search for India. And when he got to America, and he didn't discover anything because people were already here and the land was already here. When he got here, he thought he was in India.
Yeah.
So he named the people that he saw Indians when they were indigenous to this land already. So there were people here, namely indigenous Native Americans and Africans, people of African descent that were already here in North America.
Yes, absolutely right.
Okay. So I want to make that clear. So everybody didn't come, everybody who's Black American or descendants of Black Americans today didn't necessarily come over on the transatlantic slave trade or come over on ships. Not everyone.
Right.
Because again, there were Africans that were already here.
Right.
And they had already mixed in with a lot of the Native Americans. There were already communities and cultures here.
That's right. That's why we're saying for you to get to know your history, go back, find out, like you said, there were already people that were already here, indigenous people that lived here already before we even came here. A lot of us came here.
And they had civilization here. Let's get that straight, right?
Right.
Let's definitely say that. There were civilizations already here in the Americas.
Right.
There wasn't something that the Europeans came and gave us civilization or taught us civilization. No. And so again, but you guys, it's going to take you to really research and study that. And so what a controlled person takes what they've only been told, and they run their life, or they base their opinions based off of what they've been told only. Right. That's what a robot does. A robot is controlled by the information that it's programmed with. So it's limited in what it can do because it's only programmed to a certain degree of what its capabilities are.
Right.
What we need to do now, with the advent of technology that we had, the internet, AI, so forth and so on, books, we need to pick them up and read them.
Right.
And not just, jump on YouTube and watch videos, but actually pick up books and read the history, go to the people that are still with us, and actually sit down and ask questions and get the stories and the back history from those people. And you'll see that we come from a rich heritage of people. And again, there was not only civilization that was already here, but there were cities and there was towns and different things were already settled here, right? There was families and there was commerce and there was trade. All those things were already happening. So when we spin the narrative here in America that Christopher Columbus discovered something brand new, that is to say that something wasn't here, nobody was here, and that he discovered it. What we don't get into with Christopher Columbus is that his sailors and the captain of his ship were black. But that's another podcast for another time, right? So when you get here, and don't take my word for that, go and study that. Go and research that. And so when you do, you'll find that a lot of the stories, a lot of the narrative, unfortunately, in our country has pointed to the white man or the white settlers being the savior of humanity, or the savior of black people or indigenous people, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And so this is not the show to point fingers. This is a show to where we are embracing who we truly are. Right? And how far we've come. Right. With so much against us and so many strikes against us as people of color, how we've been able to endure.
Absolutely. And also to add to that, if you don't know your DNA, go into to Ancestry and find out, about who you are and who you came from and where you came from as well. We've said this many times on our platform that we've done that. We have found, where we came from
through DNA
testing. And so I admonish you all to do the same. Put some money aside for that and find out the history from your parents, both your parents' side of of the family as well. So I just wanted to add that in there as well.
And like you said, there's so many ways, like what we did,
so many ways
through Ancestry.com, and there's others that are black owned,
Black Ancestry,
have even more information specifically, for those of us as people of color and as Black Americans.
Right.
And so they go even deeper than Ancestry.com. Ancestry.com is a good place to start.
Right.
But there are other ones out there. I think it's 123andMe or something like that.
123andMe.
There's other ones that are out there that go in even deeper. And so, like my wife said, you guys really want to dig into those kinds of resources that are out there so that you know where you come from. And when you know where you come from, you really have
a roadmap to where you're going.
A great word, roadmap. Yeah. Because if we're really honest about it, honey, our people did not have a roadmap.
No.
And so a lot of what us as Black Americans have had to build, we had to build from scratch. And when we built it from scratch, we had to build it on a means to survive.
Yes.
And so a lot of our history is based on what people would call the struggle. And that struggle was out of surviving a lot of the systems that were in place to marginalize us as black people.
Right.
And just to go back real quick, when we talked about slavery and how we were not the descendants of slaves, but the descendants of enslaved people, we have to understand is that we were not weak, and that's why we were enslaved. On the contrary, you don't go pick a weak people to help you build your crops or plant your crops.
Right.
You don't pick a weak people to help you build and landscape your country.
Right. Build cities.
You don't pick a weak people to do that.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
You force a strong people against their will to do that.
Right.
And so, like we said last week on the show, how we were forced was, again, there were treaties and agreements in place in many parts of West Africa that said, these are people that you can take. Now, there are some African brothers and sisters who are not ready to admit that.
Right.
And as you're not ready to admit that yet,
Ready or not.
here it is.
Comes. Yeah.
And so you may be keeping you and your people in a perpetual hamster wheel of struggle yourself.
Absolutely.
Because you won't readily admit that by our hand and by our decisions, these people were afflicted with these atrocities. These people were taken away from us. We weren't. You don't go to a continent. White people did not go to a continent of Africa. Let me make this very clear. White folks were not that powerful where they could go to a continent, brandish guns, and force thousands upon thousands of people onto boats. They weren't that powerful. They were, in fact, they were outnumbered, right? You're talking about African civilizations where people were in the hundreds of thousands, outnumbered the Europeans that came there. The thing about it, though, the Europeans came with gunpowder. They came with weapons. And their weapons did more collateral damage than spears and javelins. It did more damage. Plus, the Africans and the leaders were presented with barters, with agreements, with trade in place that, hey, if you give us this, we'll give you that. And this is long before the Europeans. This happened with the Arabs and Africans. So this is history thousands of years prior. But what we're saying is that we don't come from people that were slaves. We came from people that were doctors. We came from people who knew the law. We came from people who were agriculturalists, farmers. Correct. We came from people who knew how to administer justice among the people in their tribes and so forth. We came from people who knew how to build homes and houses. Correct. We came from people who knew how to create medicine. We came from people who knew, who had their own religion and their own beliefs in religion.
Yeah.
And so,
system. Yeah.
And let me dispel this as well. When we talk about Christianity was not the white man's religion.
Right.
In fact, Christianity was in Africa long before it hit Europe.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
But see, that's the narrative that has been spun, and that's what people are readily, willing to just go with that instead of going and researching and find out who among the disciples went to Africa and who among the disciples went to other parts of the world in India and so forth before Paul went into Rome.
Right. That's right. Who?
Right. So you've got so when we say it's a white man's religion, no, we Africans understood and knew of the Christ before the Europeans did. The Europeans, they had the system of media where they could broadcast, if you will, they could broadcast and they could whitewash and they could spin the narrative in a way that benefited them and their people.
It was all about them and their people.
And so we don't come from slaves.
No.
We come from kings.
We're mighty.
We come from a mighty people.
Mighty people. Right.
We come from a people that
great and powerful.
Powerful people.
Yes.
And that again, they danced on top of the land that carried gold, diamonds, silver, copper, cobalt. They were dancing. They built their lives on top of this land. So they weren't poor. They weren't savages. They weren't running around with bones in their noses, uncivilized.
Right.
And unfortunately, that narrative has been spun too long. Absolutely. And so it's made us really look at our history with a little bit of angst, a little bit of like, And so when we think about Black history, we kind of only tie it to Dr. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, the staple figures in Black history,
which are excellent,
and which are
awesome,
amazing people.
Yes, of course.
They're amazing figures, and they did immense.
But babe, they would want us to also acknowledge others that were, that had a significant role and impact in the movement of freedom, in the movement of bringing us together and forming, our own way. There were so many others, so they would also want us to acknowledge those people in the areas of their strengths and the things that they've done. Some didn't. Some are undocumented, right?
And many never got the recognition.
Many were undocumented.
Yeah,
actually.
Many never got the recognition. Many never got the spotlight,
right?
That they deserve. And so, when we only look at certain figures, we say, "Oh, okay, well, we know about them, and that's good." And then we tend to think that our history stops and starts there, but it doesn't. And so there's so many people that are out there that have made monumental contributions to not only to our history, but to the present that we live now and to the future that's coming.
Absolutely.
And so we don't want to do them a disservice any longer.
Right.
We don't want to say, okay, well, these are the only people that we recognize. No. There are people, there are inventors, there are abolitionists, there were people who challenged the system, politicians that bucked the system, because there was a system in place for us here in America, family, that told us that is documented. We were 3/5 of a human being.
Right.
So when you're told that you're not fully human, then that begs the question, well, what else are we?
Right.
And then it told us that, no, you're not capable of doing these things because you are a people of lesser value.
Right.
And so we had people that challenged those ideologies, that challenged those systems that were in place to make us feel inferior.
Right. And we come to challenge that.
Exactly.
We come to challenge that, to tell you, no, you're not inferior.
Right.
You're not. Anything, all the things that they've accomplished, the things that they were subjected to, that they overcame. Do you understand that we are people that are overcomers? We overcome adversity. We overcome any situation. And I want us to get in our minds, even for our children, our children's children, that we're going to dismiss and dispel everything that was spoken over us and about us, right? And we're going to take on ownership of who we really are.
How can we, that's so good. How can we truly live more?
Right.
If we don't have an understanding of what our people have lived through.
Yes. That's right.
If we are going to leave something to our children's children other than our wardrobes,
right, or our stress and
frustration, or the things that didn't happen,
right,
if we're going to leave them with something better than what we've had, then we better start educating them, and we better start leaving trails of knowledge and revelation and information,
right,
so that they can always go back to and say, no, I come from this.
Right.
No, I have this stock of people. I come from this stock of people. Because when you, like you said, honey, when you always, if you think that you're inferior, you are inferior.
Right.
You are what you think you are.
You are what you think.
And so if you think that you don't have any grand history, if you think that, oh, we're the descendants of slaves, if you think that, oh, we're not capable of doing XYZ because we were told that we couldn't.
Right.
See, all of that was on purpose. All of that was intentional.
Absolutely.
This is intentional systems in place, brainwashing that was put in place so that a people could look at themselves as inferior, as servants only.
The word you just used was brainwashing. That's the same thing that Hitler did in the Nazi camps, right? Brainwashing. When you start telling people who you're not and showing them if you were, how come you didn't overcome the situation? If
Mm.
you are these people, why couldn't you outdo us in this?
Mm-hmm.
Overcome us.
Mm.
We are a people that are mighty and strong and great. You said something a few moments ago. We have to be willing to bequeath, okay,
Mm-hmm.
more to our children and our children's children than just grief and sorrow and pain.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have to do what? Study. The Bible says, study to show yourself approved. You have to study so that you can be able to give that information to your children. You should have, in your family, there should be family time. There should be time where your family and your family come together, and you have especially in this month, be proactive, come together as a family and be able to sit down and say, we're going to watch this particular film on Althea Gibson. She was a tennis star, black tennis star, or Eggers. Sorry, I always do that.
Yeah.
Or whomever. Have in this month, make it a week. Every week, come together and say, we're going to study this person. We're going to get to know this person and their lives, or your own family. We're going to dig deep. If grandma is still here, or if mom is still here, or your aunts, like I said earlier, go to them and say, I want to know and understand and learn my history. And so that is how you begin to start dispelling all of this,
right,
by doing those things, in this month.
And I can remember, a time when I was a kid, that we would do like different plays or different skits, when we were in elementary school.
Oh, wow.
Of the prominent Black figures, Dr. King and so forth.
Yeah.
And what that would do is that would teach us that there were people that they were able to create so much more, but with so much less. They did not have what we have today.
Right.
And so they were able to break barriers with little to nothing.
That's right.
And so you're talking about a people that had to have the spiritual fortitude and the spiritual courage, not just talent, not just gifting and ability, but they had to put courage with systems. They had to put courage with strategy.
That's right.
Because if you can have talent and gifting, but if you don't have a strategy in place and you don't have unity in place, then you're dead in the water.
You're dead in the water.
And this is what our people, Black Americans and Black people around the world, particularly Black Americans that we're discussing, they were able to do that, where they were able to come together and you guys, we're just scratching the surface. We're really just getting started with this discussion. We're going to come back and talk more about the accomplishments within the atrocities. Hear me good. In order for us to see the accomplishments and understand the accomplishments of our people, we have to understand also the atrocities that they endured, the brutality that they had to go through in order to be triumphant in the things that we now enjoy today.
Right.
And sometimes, many times in our history, honey, particularly here in America, that is the part we don't discuss. We talk about the highlights, we talk about, oh, they did this and they did that, but we don't really dig in and find out, okay, well, what did they go through for real? How their families were terrorized,
right?
How their family members were killed,
right?
For the sake of them accomplishing something,
right? And how they did not retaliate to terrorize those that were terrorizing them.
Right. They didn't. Oh God, yeah. So you guys, we're gonna come back. Don't go nowhere. More Living More with the Morgans coming soon. Stay tuned.
Today, people and business owners have a ton of options to choose from when it comes to web developers, graphic designers, social media marketing, branding, and the list goes on. And that might not be such a good thing. What if there was one company that you and your business could trust that could provide all these services at prices that won't eat up your business capital before it gets off the ground? From logo design, branding, custom website development, hosting, social media marketing, print media design, and more. Infusion does it all under one roof with a team of professionals that are just a phone call away. Infusion Design Solutions, the infusion of exceptional design and affordability. Visit us online at infusion.com.
All right, you guys, and we're back with more Living More with the Morgans, and we've been having a good discussion today. And we kind of left off on, we were talking about how, you know, our accomplishments, or the accomplishments, of many Black Americans, how they had to endure atrocities to accomplish a lot of what we are privileged to partake in today.
Yes.
And we really need to understand how those who were on the front line were taking the bullets, and they were taking the vitriol from society at that time.
Mm.
But also their loved ones, also their family members.
Living in terror.
Living in complete terror, where they had crosses burned on their property.
Right.
Or they had their homes bombed and burned.
Right.
All because you're wanting to get ahead. All because you're wanting equal access. Where there is opposition that believes, no, you should not have these things. No, you're inferior to us. You shouldn't partake in the things that we partake in. We did not bring ourselves over here.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I believe that before any treaties or agreements were signed, where a lot of the African leaders of that time did not even understand what they were signing and what they had agreed to, I believe that we were chilling and we were good.
Right. I believe so too.
And we worshiped our God, who is God.
Yes.
And we did well for ourselves. Very well. To the point to where, and I'm going to jump back on where we were doing so well that our history had to be erased. Our history and our history books and our scrolls and our accomplishments, even on the continent before we were transplanted here, was erased from human history, or they tried to erase it from human history. Let me say it that way.
Even artifacts were stolen.
Artifacts stolen. Why? If we were just so inferior and so nothing, why were our artifacts and our art and our history and our sculptures and our masks, why was that in European museums making money? So if we were such an inferior, ugly, savage, brutal, less than people, why was our history, why was it an attempt to erase our history? Exactly, but then confiscate what it is that we created? See, these are questions that you have to ask yourself in order to get an understanding of your history. Because if you don't ask, see, a lot of people say, and I think this is a religious thing, and I'm gonna go back to where we're on. But I think it's a religious thing when we were told, don't question the Lord, don't say nothing, and that's nowhere in Scripture.
It's nowhere in Scripture.
Don't question the Lord. I think that comes down from a slave mentality where you do not to question the master.
That's right.
Or you get that beat down.
Remember, it was the mind.
Right.
It was something that they used in order for you to feel inferior.
Right.
So they used the Bible and they used pieces of it to make you feel as if you're supposed to be a slave. You're supposed to be enslaved. Yes. You're supposed to go through this. This is the will of God. That is the will of lie.
And that's the thing, honey. You're absolutely
It was
right.
a lie.
And if people would research this,
Right.
the Bible that was used on plantations here in America was cherry-picked scriptures, cherry-picked books of the Bible, that was cherry-picked by white slave owners, where you could only read certain passages or whatever. And if it was not in alignment with what that slave owner wanted, then you couldn't read. And so if we have to think, we have to ask questions now. If you are a people that are told you can't learn how to read and write or you would be killed, why don't you want people to know how to read and write? You only want me to read and understand this cherry-picked Bible of scriptures that benefits you and your people. But anything else that I read, anything else that I go and get knowledge and wisdom about, you're ready to take my life and kill me and hang me for?
Right.
So we have to ask ourselves these questions. Why did it come to that?
Why?
Why did it come to the point to where I'm willing to kill a person if you know how to read? Because I don't want you to know your history. I don't want you to know where you come from. I don't want you to really know where the Bible comes from, what the book is talking about. I don't want you to know that you are the chosen people in the scriptures. I don't want you to know that. So if I can't hide it from you, then I'll beat you if I catch you reading it. If I can't hide it from you, I will murder you in cold blood because you learned how to read it for yourself.
Right.
So if all of that is put into place, all these systems are put into place to keep you inferior, to keep your thinking low about yourself and about your people, then what is it about us that is so grand and so great that they know that they didn't want us to know?
Exactly.
What is so beautiful about you,
right,
as Black people? What is so awesome about you that they would go through all of those lengths to the point of murder, that they say that their Bible talks against? Thou shalt not commit murder is a commandment. They were willing to break that commandment so you don't know how to read your own history.
right.
What is it about us as a people that is so amazing, so miraculous, so beautiful, so organic,
Right.
so godlike,
Right.
that a people would be willing to murder you
Right.
if you found out who you were?
Right. Yeah. Because it has to do everything to do with I don't feel like I am. I don't feel like I am those type of people. Look what they've built. Look what they've done. Look at all the things that they can do. I don't have that. So I'm going to do what? I'm going to go and do what the enemy always does, is I'm going to start to mess around with the mind. I'm going to start to begin to, oh, okay, well, you didn't do this, and this is not in history, because in your history books it says that Columbus discovered America. It didn't say that you did, but Columbus did. So they begin to do what? Use to brainwash us, to make us feel like you had no place in history. You've done nothing. When the first civilization, the first form of life was on the continent of Africa. Now, if God is making people, and you look at the ground, go outside and look at the ground. Look at what color it is. I don't see sand, right? But I do see brown. And you start to add some water to it. It even gets more color, right? So sometimes I think that we're so afraid, or we've been so programmed, that's a better word, to believe what history that has been written about us, to believe it, that we are afraid to believe anything opposite of that.
We're afraid. Great point. We're afraid to challenge.
We're afraid to challenge
what we've been told.
We're afraid.
And I got to say this, honey. I got to say this. And when we're still on topic, and I want to remain here, but I'm letting him lead. Let me say that way.
Right.
Many of our religious denominations as Christians stem from cherry-picked understanding of Scripture, cherry-picked understanding of what we were told, and the limitations that were put around us on what to believe and how to believe. That is why one denomination believes that, oh, we don't believe in speaking in tongues.
Right.
And another denomination says, well, we believe in speaking in tongues, but you can't speak in tongues this way. We don't believe in prophecy. We don't believe in prophets. We don't believe in. And so all of these people are supposed to be pointing to one Christ, one God, one Creator, one Holy Spirit. But all of these factions have been created and engineered by evil, so that we continue in division.
Right.
We continue to separate ourselves from one another because of these differences that we've been ignorantly taught.
That's right.
And so this church don't shout like this church, and this church don't praise like this church, and this church don't have we don't have instruments, and we don't play music in our church, and so forth and so on.
It was all designed for us to do this.
And it was all designed for us to do it. It was all designed
so that we will not come together.
Exactly. So
because the power is in that.
Exactly.
There's
power in unity. There's power in unity.
That's right.
And so the greatest thing that I can do is make you fearful of even challenging.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That the greatest fear is if I hang somebody up in this tree and I tell you, don't do that, don't challenge me, don't buck me,
because you're gonna get
or you're gonna be that next one hanging in that tree.
Right.
Or you're gonna be the next one with your house bombed and burned down.
Right.
So people were made to be afraid to challenge the status quo.
Fear mongering.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so in the face of that, you had to have people that were willing to step out on faith, but step out with strategy, step out with organization and structure and unity, to say we're not going to continue in the status quo. Thus, you will have people that will buck systems, buck politics, buck certain even religious ideals that are in place.
That's right.
That still divide us. Yeah. And so we have it today. We have messengers. We have prophets among us today that buck the systems.
We do.
And so the problem, like Dr. King bucked a system. His only opposition was not just white Americans who were racist and bigots and didn't want equality for black folks. He bucked the system to the point to where even black folks did not like the fact that Dr. King was challenging the norms of a system at that point in time.
Because of what? It's been the advent of what? Continuing to feed fear.
It's conditioning.
We continue to feed that fear. You do this, your house going to get bombed. You do this, I'm gonna bomb your church and kill your kids. You do this, I'm gonna shoot your mom on the piano. See, all of these things so that you would not challenge or buck the system.
And so don't you step out of line, boy.
Don't step out of line.
Don't you step out of line, boy.
Stay in line.
And so that mentality is unfortunately, it's prevalent, not all, but it's prevalent among many today.
Right.
It's because the time, see, I can take it personally with this angle. The gift and callings that I have personally, I was someone that bucked religious thinking. especially if I found that it was not scriptural.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it wasn't a means to be rebellious.
No.
But the thing is, when you challenge a system, when you challenge ideals, when you challenge an ideology that has been in place for so long, that marginalizes us,
Right.
that makes us continue less in. But here's the thing. You don't feel marginalized, or you don't know that you're marginalized, because you've become comfortable with it. You've become complacent in the fact that, oh, well, this is normal to me and how we do church is normal, but you're not seeing any power.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
You're not seeing any power. You're not seeing any progress. Ooh. And so we've become so complacent with, oh, well, we're just getting enough. Right. What God tells us, no, enough is not what I have for you. I want you to have more than enough.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes a lot
And so
of
when
sense.
you have someone who comes and butts that system of thinking and religious ideology, they're going to be deemed, oh, they're rebellious.
Right.
They're the rabble rouser. They're the troublemaker. They're not prophetic. They're not messing. And that was what Dr. King, that was what a lot of civil rights leaders were called during their time. They were not well liked.
Right. And you also have to remember that even though it looks like they were just in the forefront, there were people that were meeting in homes. They were meeting in churches. They were meeting to say what is the next thing that we need to do. They were still coming together. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm so adamant about us. We have allowed too much space and time for us not to come back together and to get an understanding. Like you said, with technology that's in place and things that we have now that can be able to give us more knowledge and understanding of our history, who we are, what we come from, and in those that came before us and how they strategize and how they use wisdom and how they use things to be able to buck the system, to come together. Just like when they were sitting at the lunch counter, they all come together. They all met in a secret place somewhere so that they could be able to go over, and they rehearsed it. And they went over how to do this without, maybe getting killed, how to go into Woolworth. Mm-hmm. How to sit at the counter. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're going to throw water on you. They did a simulation of all of that to each other. They're going to throw water. They might spit on you. All of this. But they did come together in order to be able to say, we're going to buck the system, because the system is against us, and the system is not allowing us to come and to be able to live and be able to have the opportunities that are there for us as well.
The key word, though, that you keep using is the smallest word out of all of them, and it's the word us. US.
Yep.
So when you have a cause that you're fighting for, or you have a cause that you believe in, the bigger picture is, how does it benefit us as a whole, as a collective?
Right. Not just me. Not just my household.
Exactly.
Right.
So with the struggle, with the things that people were going through, with the things that people were willing to buck, you don't buck a system so that only you can be the beneficiary of it.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's
you don't challenge stinking thinking so that only you can gloat and say, well, yeah, I'm the one that changed that. It's not just for you. And I want people to understand that if you've got somebody that is radical, in their faith, they're radical in their stance, they're radical for whatever it is that they believe in, 9 times out of 10, 99.9% of the time, that person is that way because they have been sent to change the thinking and the mindset and the mentality of a people as a whole. That one person is not doing that just so that they can be the beneficiary of whatever it is that they're just talking about. They're doing it on the basis that people as a whole would benefit from what this person is going against. And so when you talk about the freedom fighters, when you talk about how they practice and rehearse it, hey, when you go into this restaurant in the South, in the deep South, you're going to be spit on, you're going to be kicked, you're going to be
Yes.
scoffed at or whatever. And they rehearsed those things so that they would know how to build up a resistance.
A resistance.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
They had to learn how to not get so much into their feelings to the point that they would retaliate.
That's right.
And they would build up this resistance so that they could, as a whole, collectively, that they would see the greater picture, the greater good for everybody involved. For those that were coming up ahead. Right. So you're not rebellious and you're not radical just for you.
Right.
You're radical because you know that there's people coming behind you that if you're not radical and you're not quote unquote rebellious, they're going to suffer the same crap that you had to suffer and they shouldn't have to.
Or the families before that, your parents or grandparents, your great grandparents, all of them. We should be able to understand that we don't have to continue to rehearse what they've gone through. We don't. They don't want us to. They want us to get it, build, come together and as a people, go forward. Because we've done our leg of the race. It's done. We're not. Like many of them are no longer still here. Like the Tuskegee Airmen, a lot of them and what they were able to do. They're leaving here. If their children, and grandchildren sat around and listened to the things that they've accomplished and had to go through and be marginalized, where they're not a real, military guys. We had to do something to let them have this or what have you, so that it wouldn't look like we're not, for them. But it was more than something. They were doing something that we're talking about. They did it anyway. They challenged the system, but they did not do this alone. They had to be together. You cannot do this alone. Just like you said, God sends, like the Dr. Kings and the Malcolm X. I don't care if you think he Muslim. It's not about that.
Right.
God sends people. He knows who he can use.
Right.
Okay. Just like there's prophets. If there's prophets in the Bible, why is there not prophets on the earth?
Right.
There are real prophets on the earth that are here to do what? They're going to challenge it. There's many that, they're going to challenge the system. They're going to challenge it, especially when it doesn't line up scripturally to what it's that the scriptures say.
And the main thing with that, honey, if you read the books of the prophets, in the Old Testament, not only were they challenging the systems and the orders and structures in the society of their day, but many of them, especially Isaiah, was challenging the thinking, the religious thinking of the people that quote unquote served God.
Right. That's right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So people who do that, who are deemed radical, like Jesus, he was deemed as a heretic.
Yes.
He was deemed as rebellious. He was deemed, they called him a rabble rouser, a troublemaker. Why? Because he's challenging the thought processes. He's challenging the religious ideology of his time. There are people that are sent here today that are doing the same thing, whether it's in a religious realm or it's in business, or it's in politics, or it's in entertainment. You have people here that are fighting, that are challenging, that are bucking the system to say, well, why does it still have to be this way? Even though a majority of the people may be comfortable with how it's been, there are people that God is still sending in the earth. And you ain't got to understand them. You ain't got to like them.
Right.
And you probably not going to. But the thing of it is that you can't get away from the fact that those people have been sent to challenge, to question, to go up against, to fight against, to bring that. God called a young man named Jeremiah, and he told him, you're going to not only build up, but you're going to tear down.
That's right. Absolutely.
We forget that part.
Yeah.
Where he was a young prophet, a young man who didn't even really fully understand his call.
No, he did not.
He did not understand it. And so have we forgotten that is what we have today and people who are willing to put their lives on the line, put their careers on the line or whatever, so that it's not for that one person. What benefit does that one person get from being radical like that? It is for the totality of everyone involved, for the greater good of everyone. Yeah. And so we have to remember that in Black history, the people that we're celebrating behind us, the people that are able to stand and do what they do today. You talked about the Tuskegee Airmen. Yes. We have Black fighter pilots today. We have Black commercial pilots
because of them.
Because of these men.
Because of them.
Because these men bucked systems.
That's right.
Because these men saying we're not going to keep things the way they are.
Just like the women of NASA.
Yes.
The Black women of NASA. If it hadn't have been for them, Mae Jamerson, mm-hmm. she was given the opportunity because of these women, mm-hmm. and because of the what they had to go through in order for us to forge a way,
right?
Forge a way for us to be able to say we can be astronauts, mm-hmm. we can be we're excellent doctors, we can be excellent athletes, we can be all of these mm-hmm, things, mm-hmm. and we are all of these things.
Are all these things.
God has given us multiple gifts and talents, mm-hmm. wisdom that goes beyond understanding. Mm-hmm. But these people that were sent here on this earth to do these things, to put their lives on the line, as you have spoken, mm-hmm. if they did not do that, then how would even tennis stars, Althea Gibson, mm-hmm. which my mama has her name, Althea, mm-hmm. if it hadn't been for her, you're looking at Venus and Serena Williams.
You don't have them.
And then look now, you have now what? Coco Gauff. Mm-hmm. You have others now that have come on the scene. Has it been some, some bucking? They trying to know, it's too many? Yeah. But these ladies are here. They're coming. Mm-hmm. Just like running for president, Shirley Chisholm. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have Black women running for president like you have Kamala.
You wouldn't have that.
You wouldn't have that.
Right.
Someone has to stand up and say, regardless of what could happen, regardless, mm-hmm. I have to do this. I was sent here. I was mandated to do this.
Right. And that is so powerful.
Yes, it is.
That is so powerful. And I want to pause right there. I want to take a quick break.
Yeah.
And I want to come back. And we're going to keep the conversation going, because what people really need to understand is that we are standing on the shoulders of giants.
Right.
But if you don't know that you are, then you're still on your knees groveling.
Right.
When you should be standing tall. And unfortunately, because we don't know our history, many of us don't know our history, we are on our knees begging,
right,
for things that we should already be owning and possessing.
Right. If they created with less, okay, what excuse do we have
with more?
With more. Mm-hmm. If they created with less, what excuses do we have?
With all this technology.
With all the technology.
With all the money we've got, the resources we've got.
And coming together.
And coming together that we can be doing through our devices, through all these apparatuses that we have. How is it that they were able to create and do more with less?
With less.
When we've got so much more.
Right.
We're going to come back and tackle that, you guys. Stay tuned. We got more Living More with the Morgans right after this. It doesn't matter what they call you. What matters is what you answer to. Landis Uray. All right, you guys, and we're back with more Living More with the Morgans, and we've been talking a lot about this or that. And I think you guys can get with this, because Black history is upon us, and we have been having, I believe, a great discussion just really about not only our history, but what are we going to do with this history?
Right.
What is the purpose of our history so that we can build upon it, and we can build our future. And so, in essence, babe, we're creating history right now. We're creating our future and our history at the same time.
At the same time, right.
You know, somebody 20, 30, 40 years from now, prayerfully, is going to be talking about what it is that we put in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Our words, our actions, our abilities, our accomplishments. Someone, somewhere, whether it's our family members or it's society, is going to be talking about what it is that we put in the earth.
Right.
And hopefully they're doing the same. They're going to do the same with you. Those that are watching this, is what are you going to leave in the earth? And so I think this next topic, you know, that we're really, it's imperative that we dive into, is the difference between visibility versus legacy. And I think that's very important, because right now with social media, there's so much visibility on me, on self. That's why it's called a selfie, because the phone is literally built with a camera on the front and the back of the phone so that you can take pictures of yourself.
Right.
Okay. But when you're building a legacy, when you're building something that is long-standing, meant for longevity, you're not thinking of you. You should not be thinking of just you. How do I feel in this moment? How do I look in this moment?
Right.
How do I look building this thing that I've been commissioned to build?
Right.
How do I look?
Right.
Should be the furthest thing from my mind. How will I look should be the furthest thing from my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, because of technology and social media, the focus is more so on me, myself, and I. And I think if we look back on our history, they didn't have the comfort or the luxury to be so concerned about how am I going to look in this moment.
Right. They did.
You understand what I'm saying? When there's a greater good for all people that are involved in what it is that you're doing, then you're looking at how do we as a collective people, how are we going to look not only in the moment, but how are our kids going to look? How are our grandchildren going to look?
For the future.
For the future.
Right.
And so we have to, with today, as we're building our businesses, as we're looking to build things within the earth, as we're looking to forward our careers and be groundbreakers and pioneers and so forth and leave legacies, I think that we got to get back to the work itself is the thing that needs to be celebrated.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The focus needs to be on the work itself rather than me being the celebrity.
Right.
Me being the one that people cheer on, me being the one that people have to I have to be validated in whatever it is that I'm putting my hands to.
Right.
And that, I believe, babe, is going to make or break our generation.
Absolutely is.
It's going to make or break our generation. And I'm seeing, think about this. When you look at the civil rights leaders and you look at the figures that were on the front lines, right? And those who got the recognition, if you will. Like we mentioned in the last segment, there were so many people, others that were behind the scenes.
It was.
That will never know their names.
Right.
They were never mentioned in the history books or on the television shows or in the movies. They may never get a movie about them. But that doesn't mean that their contribution to society and to the world is less significant.
Right.
And so
there were people doing other good things in other genres. There was other things that were going on. You go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Before Dr. King got involved with the garbage truck workers, they were already pushing that, as far as, you had people come together and say, we're going to come together, and we're not being paid a good wage.
Mm-hmm.
We're not being we're not given the respect
Mm-hmm.
that is due to us. You had people that were doing other things in the communities, fighting for the communities, fighting for their children.
Mm-hmm.
So there were so many things that, of course, we did not. I mean, like you said, who controls the media controls the narrative.
Right.
So they were only going to show, this one man,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. King, doing this, and then the guys that are around him.
Mm-hmm.
But there were other things that were going on. They didn't show, people that were fighting for us and fighting for their communities and fighting for people. They didn't show them, other than they were, they jailed 10 people that were,
And I think that is what stunted the movement of the civil rights movement.
Right.
I think unfortunately, when the leaders were assassinated, and there's a difference, and I want to say this, there's a difference between being killed and being assassinated. What Dr. King is, and he's one person
Mm-hmm.
of many that spearheaded a movement where he met with presidents, he met with the common man, he met with religious leaders.
Yes.
He didn't just have a platform where he was speaking about the issues of his time or giving his opinion about issues of his time. No, he was organizing with the people in the communities, the poor and the wealthy, the seen and the unseen. But I really want to hit on something, because we're talking about visibility versus legacy, where we've become so inundated with the look of things, the perception of things. How are people going to see me? What light how am I going to look in history? And I think when we focus more on that, we dilute the potency of the work that we've been sent to do.
You do.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We water down.
We water it down. Right.
Because, I want to look good doing this. And so I even see it amongst us as entrepreneurs, where we're so, especially on social media, where we're so big on, see me, look at me, I'm doing this.
Right.
And you've got more selfies on your business page than you do information about your products and services that you offer.
Right. You sell eggs.
But we ain't seen no eggs.
But we see
right.
You.
We see
Did
plenty
you
of you.
hatch the eggs?
Right. Right. We see plenty of you.
Yeah.
I'm a real estate realtor.
Right.
Okay. We don't see none of your houses. We see how fat your behind is in this dress. You walking into these houses. That's what we see.
Right. We're out of order.
And we're totally out of order, because think about it. What if they would have been thinking about that decades ago, during the struggle, during the fight, if they were so focused on how am I going to look in history?
They couldn't focus on it. It was not in their minds to focus on that.
They didn't have the luxury.
They didn't have the luxury. And again, you said it earlier. Their focus, it was a right now. Something had to be done now. You could not now we have all of this opportunity that has been given to us. We still have things that we still struggle with.
Right. Okay.
We have all this opportunity, but that does not mean that the struggle or the call is any less.
Mm-hmm.
We still have a call, not to ourselves and to be selfie stars, or to be influencers and be influencing nothing and talking about nothing, but we have a responsibility to those that came before us to do what? To continue on with what needs to be done, and to make sure that there is a mark left in this earth realm, that people lives are better, and people are able to have something for their families and their children and children's children.
Bingo.
That is our
bingo.
We have to leave it. That's biblical.
And that not only is that biblical, but it just makes sense. Our kids are not going to be able to do anything with how cute we used to look in selfies. They're not going to be able to do anything with, man, grandma and grandpa, they left me a bunch of TikTok videos of them doing dances.
Right.
Not to say there's anything wrong with having a good time.
Right.
Everything has its place.
Right.
Everything has its lane.
Right.
But if you're so focused on me having a good time, me turning up, where you're not thinking about, okay, who's coming? Legacy. Who's coming after me?
Right.
And so there were so many Black Americans who built businesses, who built schools, who built churches. They built communities, and and they did it without ever thinking, will I get recognized for this?
Right.
Will my name be in lights? Will I have my own Broadway production about me one day and accomplishments? Right. No, they did it because they knew that there was a need for it. They knew there was a need to be radical against how things were. There was something. And
they knew that they weren't going to live forever.
Thank you.
And that they had children. Don't you want to leave your children in a place better. than when you found it? It is our responsibility as parents, as elders, as pillars of the community. It is our responsibility to do that.
I think it was, and I apologize for if I misquote him, but there was a quote I think recently by 50 Cent, the rapper, and he said something to the effect like, depression is a luxury. Right? Where you're so focused on self that one would be depressed. You're so thinking about you, yourself, how you feel, where you ain't thinking about nobody else. You're not thinking about the future. You're not thinking about lineage. You're not thinking about nothing. And he said something to that effect where depression is the mark of someone that has the luxury to only think about themselves. And when we are building today, supposedly for the future, we have taken on this mindset that we actually have the luxury, we have the time to be so concerned about how I look in the moment rather than the quality of the thing that we're building for tomorrow. And so we are already not only shooting our futures in the foot, but we're saying to the future and we're saying to those coming behind us, you're not important enough for me to leave anything of value to you because I'm not focused on what it is that you're going to inherit. No. The Bible says that a good man, not a saved man,
right,
not a religious man, but just a good man, leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Meaning you're thinking generationally. You're thinking about what is to come. Not for momentary applause. Not for a few likes, a few clicks, a few people to call me by my title. No. I'm thinking about what is it that you're going to have 50 to 100 years from now when I'm no longer here.
Right.
And so Dr. King and those guys had to be thinking about that. They had to be thinking about, what can I do right now? What can I get right with this moment and this time and this opportunity that I have now? Not so that I have validation, but so that my works in time will have given validation for themselves.
Right. That's right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
What is it that I'm putting in the earth now? What is it that I'm building for future generations that I'm focused on now so that the world is better, that they're not having to build from scratch? And that is what Black history is about.
That's right.
Black history is about paying homage to those who said, whether I'm in the spotlight or not,
That's right.
Whether I get recognized or not, whether they know my name or not, I am doing this and I'm going through these hardships so it can be better for you. Think about our athletes. Think about what Jackie Robinson went through.
Absolutely.
And there were Black Major League Baseball players before Jackie Robinson.
Yes.
That we don't even know their name.
Right.
Think about what they went through. Think about being called nigger just to go play the game that you love.
Right. Yeah.
Think about being spit on and having bananas thrown at you. That still happens today. Having bananas thrown at you, all because you're a kid who has grown up to be able to play the game you love to play.
Right.
These men and women took these things in the face of adversity, knowing that I'm not going to look good in this moment. I'm not going to look good in the cameras in this moment when they throwing bananas at me and they calling me a monkey. But guess what? There's some kid that's going to come after me 50, 30, 100 years from now that's going to be able to play this game at an optimal level where they will never have to endure being called monkey or nigger just because of the game that they love to play.
Right.
Because I took it.
Right.
I took that bullet. I took that oppression.
Yeah. You remember when Reggie, the baseball player,
Reggie Jackson?
Mm-hmm. He began to talk about what they had endured during the time that he was in Major League Baseball. Remember what he talked about? He was actually one of the spokespersons that were covering one of the MLBs, and he was on the panel with other stars that were in the Major League Baseball.
I think it was Alex Rodriguez,
yeah.
Big Papi,
and a
couple others.
And they began to talk about, some things about, what, how do you feel about Wrigley Fields and all of that. And that's how it started. And he said, this wasn't a good place for me. This wasn't a good place for us. He said, do you understand what we went through, what we had to endure?
Wow. And
when he talked about what they endured and the places that, of course, they went, that even his, the manager said, if Reggie can't eat in these places,
we ain't going.
We're not going. We'll go back to the hotel and get something to eat. And the things that he had to see and the words that he were called, like you said, nigger, spook, monkey. You can't do this. You can't do that. We're going to hurt you. We're going to try to kill you. All these things he endured. I'm sure he didn't have time to do this. Let me see. You understand? He didn't have time to do a selfie. He wasn't thinking about that. He was thinking about, there has to be a barrier that is broken forth for others that look like me to have the opportunity to be in the MLBs. There's a picture of my father. You remember that picture I'm talking about? There's a picture of my father and some of the younger, I guess they were in high school at the time, and they all had on baseball outfits and they loved the game. And I remember that picture. I could see my dad because I look like him. And I could see my dad saying, leaning down, because they always taking a picture and he was crouched down. There was some on the front, some on the back, and everything. And I remember seeing that picture. And I remember one day we were talking about that. And this was before they went to the assisted living. I remember asking him about their picture when we were going over him. I said, Dad, I said, would you have wanted to play Major League Baseball? He said, yeah. He said, but we couldn't. He couldn't. He said, we weren't able to, do that. And my dad was born in 1926. So he said, we weren't able to do that. How many things, so many things, especially down here in the South, and this is Texas, so many things that they wanted to do. They had the opportunity, if they had the opportunity.
And so many things that they had to build the alternative to.
And they had the Negro League.
Right. So if you can't go through this door, that should be a door that allows everyone. They said, okay, we'll create our own door.
Right.
Now that to me is power.
It's
And here's the kicker.
it's extremely powerful.
You brought up baseball, and we
Yeah.
can use that example. Major League Baseball, the MLBs, recently in the past couple of years,
Yes.
started recognizing the accomplishments of the Negro leagues
League.
and started integrating the stats and all, the data and stuff
Oh my
into
goodness.
the MLBs, because they said, hey, they played the game that we love. They played America's pastime too.
Right.
So they need to be included in this conversation. Their stats need to be included, those that were on record. And so what the MLBs did out there in Cooperstown, where they have the Hall of Fame and everything like that,
Right.
they started saying, hey, we're going to recognize these Black players and the accomplishments that they did in the Negro leagues.
Right.
When they did that, don't take my word for it, go research it.
It's so true.
When they did that, they found that the Negro League players had better stats, better
You
numbers
better talk
than
about
their
it.
MLB players, the white MLB players. Now, these men were being called niggas, monkeys, coons, jiggers, all this different stuff just to play the game they loved. Only to find out that they were better players, better ball players than their white counterparts that were in the Major League Baseball Association.
Not only did they have the handles, but they had the knowledge.
They had the knowledge. So that's just using baseball to the point to where, and I forget the gentleman's name at the moment, and you can research this. I believe they said Babe Ruth was like the leader
Yes.
of home runs or something like that, whatever.
Yes.
They ended up finding that there was a Black man. I can't think of his name at the moment, but there was a Black man who had better numbers, better stats than Babe Ruth, and they had to put him at number one. They had to put him at, so once they integrated those numbers from the Negro leagues into the MLBs, they had to end up putting this Black man at the top of this field, where it used to be, it was just a white gentleman that was at the top of that field. Now, what am I saying? That man's name is not synonymous with baseball. That man's name, I don't even remember his name personally, because I hadn't heard it as much as Babe Ruth. I hadn't heard it as much as, other star players and so forth in these fields, unfortunately. But now we got to go back and start recognizing them. Now we got to go back and start knowing these names, because these men and these women gave their lives to a profession, to an industry that did not want to recognize them just because of their skin color being different.
Right.
Now, fast forward that to today, where we have people today that are breaking barriers in sports, in entertainment, in business. They are breaking barriers in politics, in real estate, in the different industries around the world. They are breaking the barriers. And those who are truly doing it, they don't care about what they look like doing it. When you're truly doing it, when you're truly God sent, you know it ain't about you anyway.
Right. And some of them, we don't even know them.
And you don't even know who they are. They don't got no social media pages. They don't have no, hey, look at me, I got selfies on me. They're not even involved with that stuff. A lot of them are working behind the scenes, and they're working behind the scenes for other people who may have platforms.
Right. That's right.
And that is just as significant, if not more significant.
Absolutely.
And that's what our generation really has to understand, y'all.
Right.
Is that everybody wants to be cute, everybody wants to be fly, and that has its place. But the focus needs to be on me creating something today.
Right. That will
outlast me.
Yes.
That will outlast us.
That's right.
And so we have to be thinking generationally.
Right.
When it comes to money and wealth, we have to be thinking generationally. I have to say this, honey. If you're only thinking hustle, you only thinking about you.
Right.
There's no way you're thinking generationally. Now, you may have a family and you may have an immediate family that you need to take care of. I'm not talking about that. You got to do what you got to do. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those that love to glorify hustle. And hustle ain't nothing but another word for toiling.
That's it. You have to understand the word, because that word will keep you right there.
Right. You're toiling.
Toil. It's toil.
So you want to call it hustle, but you're toiling.
Yeah. Understand the word.
And so in actuality, your hustle is for you. And so your mind has not broadened enough to where you're thinking outside of you, and you're thinking about more, and you're thinking generationally.
Right.
Because when you start thinking generationally, what these men and women in history did is they start putting strategies and systems in place.
That's right.
See, a hustle don't have no system and no strategy in place, but only true framework that is being built for generations to come. That comes with strategy. That comes with planning. That comes with organization. And that doesn't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen by yourself. It happens when you lock arms with people.
Yes.
When you lock arms with one another.
Right. It starts in your home.
It starts
when you
home.
Lock arms with your spouse.
Yes.
Stop being at odds with one another.
Yes.
Come together.
Yes.
It's for a greater good, and stop bickering and get on one accord.
Yes.
With one accord. Once you start seeing this is beyond, and that the enemy is fighting against you, coming together as in your household, as a community, then you will understand, wait a minute. Something here is not quite right.
Off.
Something is off here. Why are we still in this position? Why are we not linking arms and coming together when it comes to our families? When it comes, like you said, leaving generational wealth to our children. They shouldn't have to start over. My parents were adamant about doing that. My parents were adamant. I have to say this. And there's no slight to people who live in the city. It's not. I'm saying I have never seen so much of people, or when their loved one passes, they having GoFundMes. You guys, do you think that makes sense?
Right.
GoFundMe accounts. My parents passed, they had their arranged, they had all the money set aside for them. They were like, you guys will not bury us. That is not your responsibility. We have to think more than just ourselves.
Yes.
We have to think about our children, our children's children, our communities, our elderly. We have to think more than just ourselves and looking good. And it's about that. It's about more than that.
It's because we're a lot of times in our society, and I can look at it like this. You hit a milestone, you turn 50. Society is telling you, 50 is the new 40.
Right.
So now you're not even thinking, hey, I'm 50, I better start setting up for 60, 70, 80.
There you go.
You're thinking, I need to be cute at 50 so I can blend in and fit in with the 30 and 40-year-olds. That's our mentality now. So it's so much about self.
So much about self.
That we're not thinking collectively,
right,
for the greater good, for the greater people,
right.
And so when we don't do that, when it comes about, I got to turn up, I got to be fly, I gotta be driving this, I got to be living like this, I gotta have. Who are you in competition with? Because if I'm here to build, if I'm focused on building, if I'm focused on leaving a legacy, nigga, I ain't thinking about you.
Right.
I'm sorry, I gotta say it that way. I'm not thinking about you. If I'm focused on what it is that I got, and I'll bleep that out. If I'm focused on what God has me to do here, best believe I'm not thinking about you. You're not my competition. I'm not thinking about how good I look in selfies. I'm not thinking about none of that. I'm thinking about what it is on my plate to build. And I
would rather lock arms with you,
right,
and what you have. What do you have that would be able to help, take this thing forward? Let's come together.
Yes.
It's not about competition.
Yes.
It's not about.
And that's what has impeded our progress.
That's what has impeded.
That is what has impeded our progress, is that we've become so inundated with competing with one another.
Yeah.
Who's going to look and see? And that is systemic as well.
Right.
That was planned during the times of slavery. Is that, and we talked about it on the last episode, honey,
Right.
where we talked about the house Negro versus the field Negro,
yeah,
and who got what.
Right.
And so now I'm over there looking at what you got, and I'm catching feelings about why you got what you got, and I ain't got it over here with where I'm at.
Right.
So that us being pitted against one another,
it was strategic.
So we wouldn't love each other.
That's right.
So we wouldn't love ourselves, so
Right.
that we wouldn't continue to look at ourselves as inferior.
Right.
Or when you advance and you progress, I'm trying to hold you back down here with me.
Right. It's so many prejudices in our community, the light skin versus the dark skin, and all of these other
straight hair versus
curly hair and
nappy hair.
Yeah.
You
know, coarser hair.
Yeah, right.
All of these stereotypes and this ignorance that has been fed to us, but it was passed down. Remember, it's the mind.
It's the mind.
It's the mind. If you can get someone's mind to think that they are not or less than, then you got them.
You've won.
But if you can get them to say or to think you are that, you do have what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it. You can reverse it. Mm-hmm. It can be reversed. Mm-hmm. With your kids, it can be reversed. You can start off telling them who they are. Mm-hmm. You can start off, lifting them up, speaking over them, lifting them up in words, and also, taking them places where they can be able to learn about their people and about their history and about us as a people.
I was just going to say that words is one thing,
right?
But action
is a
whole other thing.
About action.
Actions and giving them exposure and the experience to better,
right?
To greater,
right?
Absolutely. So what your kids' classroom is not going to teach them, you have to go teach them.
That's
you
what
go
I said
show
earlier.
them. You go take them to the museum.
Right.
You take them to the different places where the library and so forth, so that they can learn. You take them to another country so they can see Africa.
Yeah.
They can see Ghana. They can see where we come from.
Right.
So we have more that we can be doing.
Right.
Than just competing with one another and impeding each other's progress.
We're not getting anywhere.
We're squandering time and opportunities.
Right.
And what Black history is for and what it's about is to understand that we are in the moment that we are creating our history.
We are creating it.
And not only are we creating our history and our future at the same time, we could be potentially damaging our history and damaging our future.
That's right.
By the infighting, by the competition, by thinking of self and being narcissistic. Hey, this is about me. Look at me. I'm cute.
Yeah. I'm handsome.
I'm handsome. I'm this. I'm fine. I'm fly. Whatever. Yeah. Hey, make sure you get the Rolls Royce symbol or the Mercedes Benz symbol in the selfie. Just build.
Right.
Just build.
All those things pass away.
Because all that's going to pass away and mean nothing.
Right.
When our kids are going to be hoping, man, I hope y'all left something for me.
Yes.
Man, I hope I ain't got to start from scratch. Yes. I ain't got to be on welfare. I ain't got to be on Wix. Right. I ain't got to be on food stamps. I pray grandma, grandpa did something and left something to me.
That they pressed
through.
Right.
And we're willing to say, my life is not just about me. It's about who's coming behind me.
Right.
So that I can leave this better for them.
Right.
Family, don't go nowhere. We're going to be right back with more Living More with the Morgans. Stay tuned.
Where can I find a professional logo designer? Infusion Design Solutions. Visit us online at infusion.com.
All right, family, we're about to close out today's episode, and Y'all, it's been a good one. I think it's been a very spirited conversation because, as we kick off Black History, I want people to really understand, that our passion for living more life and more
Right.
love stems from the fact that there were people that went through unimaginable trauma
Right.
and atrocities so that we would be able to live more.
That's right.
And I think it's only right, babe, that we point to them and to them and say, we're able to continue moving the needle forward. We're able to do what we're able to do today because you did.
Yes.
Because you bled, because you took the beatings, because you took the bombings, because you took the N-word being hurled at you.
Yes.
Because you took it.
Right.
When they didn't allow you to get patents and own your own trademarks and own your own intellectual property for your inventions, when they didn't give you the recognition for what it is that you created, we have to be the ones that say, no, we're going to give you your props and give you your flowers today.
Right.
And to those that are creating Black history currently,
right,
we owe it to them that are putting their lives on the line, that are putting, that are bucking the systems, if you will. We owe it to them to say, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you that you are standing up for something more than yourself.
Right.
Thank you that you are willing to pass through the pain and the fear and the pressure and still press on toward the mark of the prize of the higher calling. You're willing to do that. And that's how you know it's bigger than you.
Yes.
That's how you know it's bigger than just self, is that I'm willing to endure pain that I don't have to take.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I can sit in my house behind my computer in my comfortable bed and not have to take the beating, figuratively or literally, of what people are willing to give me, because I'm willing to press through, because I'm willing to carve out a different path.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't have to do it. We don't have to be passionate on this podcast. We can talk about all the other gossip and all the other stuff that's out here, and we can talk about, and defame other people and do this. We can do what everyone, what's trendy. Yeah. We can do what's trendy. We can do what's popular. We can talk about all this junk and garbage that's out here. Or we can say, you know what? I pray our kids and our grandkids and our future great grandkids and the generation get something out of what it is that we're saying today, that can look at us and say, I want to speak my mind. I want to speak truth to power like they did, as a married couple.
Right.
You know what? I can marry me a beautiful older woman who respects me and understands me, because I've seen it done.
Right.
Or I can marry that younger man who's stable in the Lord, who's anchored in the Lord, who's anchored in his work that he has. He's not worried about XYZ.
Right.
Why? Because they've seen examples of it.
Right.
So that's the whole point of why we do what we do. And so we can't come and be teaching people or telling people to live more and to go travel and to do right in your marriage and build wealth and all that stuff. That's all great. I think it's needed. But if we're not willing to look back and not just the historical figures, but our parents, our grandparents, our forefathers, our ancestors, those that took things that we'll never know about, so we can have the opportunities afforded to us today. We owe it to them to pay them honor and homage.
We owe it.
And so, family, I got a proposition. We got a proposition that we got to approach you guys with. Now, you can get with this
Or you can get with that.
No, you can get with this.
Or you can get with that.
No, you can get with this.
Or you can get with that.
No, you can get with this.
Because this is where it's at.
It's all on you, family.
It's all on you.
And we think that you really need to get with this. This forward progressive movement.
Yes.
That didn't end when our leaders saw their end. That didn't end when our parents or grandparents took their last breath and went on to glory. No, it continues through us. It continues through you. So what do we have to do? We have to make a decision. Is it going to be this or that? Is it going to be something brand new? Is it going to be something worthwhile that we fight for, that we press through for, that we endure the pain for? Or are we going to stay with that already was, that already has been, and it takes no effort to maintain it? It just is what it is. I think if God is calling us to this, where we have an opportunity to cast our nets and launch out into the deep, where there's more, not just something that can feed us for a little snack, but that can feed everybody and their families that's coming along with us.
For
generations to come. I think it's worth it to cast our nets on this new thing that he's calling us to. So this is where it's at. Until next time, fam, thank you so much.
Thank you
for tuning in to Living More with the Morgans. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe here on our YouTube channel and follow us on our social media platforms. DM us, hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. And how did this podcast resonate with you as we launch into Black History Month? Again, thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
See you soon.